going on, guys? Pablo here. Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Before we even start, hit the thumbs up button. Let's get these videos boosted in the algorithm so that people who need it can find it. So today we're going to talk about why quantum leaps are so difficult to make. When we talk about quantum leaps, we are talking about changes in ourselves and changes in the results that we achieve, and achieving those things in a much shorter time than we had initially anticipated, or making much greater change than we had initially anticipated, or a combination of both, right? So doing more faster, something beyond what we thought was within our realm of capability. So the first thing is, quantum leaps are difficult to make because our realm of what we think is possible is too small. We are often thinking too small. Now, I am someone who has provided transformation, not only myself multiple times, but in thousands of people, right? Across all of my social media platforms and my one-on-one clients. And I will say that the vast majority of us are thinking too small because we are looking at what's possible based on other people's stories, based on what we see on Instagram, based on what happens in the corporate world, based on what our environment taught us, based on what our parents taught us. We measure how much we can do and how much we can achieve by the things we see with our physical sight, rather than seeing from our vision. If you ever heard the phrase, the term, the saying, walk by faith and not by sight, that is a powerful phrase, a phrase that master manifestors live by. Walk by faith, not by sight, meaning see from the vision, not from your physical circumstance. When I was dead broke, I always told myself that life is going to get a lot better, that I'm going to make a ton of money. And what happened was in a very short amount of time, because I stayed positive despite my circumstances, because I stayed committed to walking by faith from my vision and not by sight, my life changed. But most of us are thinking way too small. We think $1,000 is a lot. It's not. We think $10,000 is a lot. It's not. That doesn't mean to have a lack of respect for it and to blow it, right? And to buy things you can't afford. Always respect money. That is something totally different. But I say all that to say your realm of thinking is too small, right? So how do you change that? Well, number one, hypnosis. Number two, be around people who are playing on a higher level than you, who think bigger than you. That's the fastest way. Change your environment, right? I've made several videos on this, but the fastest way to make any sort of quantum leap is to change what you identify with. So the people, the places, and the things that you identify with. And of course, hypnosis, right? When you isolate yourself, this is why people always got to say you isolate yourself, or when you're about to make a huge leap in your life, God isolates you. That's very true. Because that leap cannot be done if you're holding on to all these things. Imagine trying to make a leap, literally, holding baggage, holding luggages. It's almost impossible. It's very difficult, right? So most people are thinking way too small. You right now, even myself, you are probably thinking way too small. So the question I ask myself to start getting to get back into an expansive way of thinking is to ask myself, what is the bigger picture here? What is the bigger play here? How can I do this bigger? How can I do this at a bigger level? Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to speak to? Who's doing this bigger than me, right? And how can I get around them? Think bigger. I write that a lot on my whiteboard. I write my plan out, my goals, whatever it is, and then I cross them out and I write the words in capital letters, think bigger. And then I go back at it. And you'd be surprised as to how small you were thinking. Because that's what you're used to, right? We set goals from a standpoint of what we are used to, what we think we're capable of. But there's a version of you who is achieving way more with the same amount of talent. There are people than you who are half as talented as you, who are achieving 10 times as much as you because they're not smart enough to doubt themselves. I'll end on that note. Number two, as to why quantum leaps are so difficult to make, patience. Patience. A quantum leap is a lot of stuff bubbling, and then boom, something amazing happens. You don't even realize that in all the frustration you might have and all the confusion you might have and all the results that are saying a lack of progress or a lack of momentum, you don't realize that is your quantum leap happening in real time, getting ready. Like it's getting ready to display itself, but that is your internal state shifting and realigning and ascending in terms of, if we want to talk vibration. Your quantum leap is happening and it's unfolding right then and there. but you need to have patience. And if you continue to ask the question of when is it going to happen, when am I going to be ready, when am I going to start seeing results, when am I going to start seeing momentum, you're not ready yet, because you think that it's a quantum leap is a one particular moment in time. It's not. It is a process. It is a wavelength. It is a stream. It is a path that we walk down, and these quantum leaps tend to happen, but you need to go through the preparation part. That cannot be skipped. And many people want to, especially nowadays, and especially amongst high performers. And I know this because I can relate. Everything I'm telling you, I'm speaking directly to my past self, because I was the opposite of all these things, right? I was thinking too small. I did not have patience, right? I was that. So I know what I'm talking about, right? Many high performers and most people just nowadays, because of the rate of the way things move or seem to move, they don't have patience and they want to cut corners. You cannot cut corners. You cannot skip steps on change, on progress. Because if you do, you might see what looks like a quantum leap on paper, but wait until the universe brings back your old traumas. You will go right back to where you started, back to square one. You'll realize you didn't make any sort of progress because your foundation, you skipped the foundation. Think of the movie Karate Kid. Wax on, wax off. All day, wax on, wax off. What that could look like for you is meditating, or listening to hypnosis audio, right? Or productivity hack, whatever it is. Those small things are building the foundation for it's like bamboo. Bamboo takes, I don't know, however many months or years underground, and then it shoots up within a matter of days and weeks, right? Patience. Patience is a virtue, and patience is also a true hallmark of confidence. Because if you're truly confident, you know that it's going to happen. You know that you're on your way. You know that you are becoming who you are supposed to become. That is what patience is. That's why it's a virtue. And nobody has it anymore, right? And the reason why quantum leaps look so special, the reason why a quantum leap looks so special nowadays is because nobody has these very basic things anymore. Number 3 is commitment. Nobody wants to commit to themselves anymore. Nobody wants to commit to themselves day after day after day after day after day after day after day anymore, right? Commitment, right? And if you can't commit to yourself, how do you expect to commit to other people in the most fruitful, healthy way, right? It's like relationships nowadays. Everybody wants a wedding, but nobody wants a marriage. It's the same thing. Everybody wants a quantum leap of change, but nobody wants to commit to themselves every day. I promise you, if you hear nothing about what I had just said, if you focus on the little basic things like getting enough sleep, meditating, watching what you consume, removing social media from your phone unless you absolutely need it, those little things, listening to your hypnosis audios, you will see the change you want to see very quickly. It's just nobody does it. That's why it looks so special. Nobody wants to commit to themselves. And you cannot treat your progress like a to-do list. Meaning, and that's one of the best pieces of advice I'd ever received from my mentor, by the way, you cannot show up for your therapy session for an hour and then go back to the way you were living. Or you cannot meditate for 20 minutes and then go back to being sloppy or procrastinating. You cannot treat your progress like a to-do list. It has to be a lifestyle, an identity. You have to identify as a professional. Think of a professional hitman. They're very clean, they're organized, they're tidy, they respect themselves, they wipe down their gear and ammo and all these things. They're very professional, and they have patience for their change and for their journey and for their vision. They commit, right? To truly be a professional is to commit, not just to the exterior world and to other people, but to yourself. And to truly be committed to yourself is to be a professional across the board. Number 3, people have a lack of respect. People have a lack of respect for what change takes. It takes time, it takes commitment, all those things I just listed. It takes thinking bigger and challenging yourself to think bigger, and they have a lack of respect. Who told you that change would be easy? Where are people getting this from? Right? Hypnosis or not, it still takes a discipline. Nothing, like, I know you've heard it a million times before, but nothing worthwhile is easy. Think of a martial art. Think of how, they sit down before the session in the dojo, and they do rituals and whatever it is, and there's respect for the sensei. Your change demands respect, because what you're manifesting is so large and so big. You're literally changing reality. You're changing your life, and it's unfolding. But you need to have respect for how it unfolds. You need to have respect for the fact that change starts with frustration and confusion and uprooting of self-beliefs and challenging yourself and doubting yourself and all these things. That is part of it. Nobody who is making these quantum leaps did not go through that. So please stop complaining. Respect it. I respect all of my bad days as much as I do my good days. I respect all of my losses and my down moments, all the times I went broke, as much as I did all the times where I got an influx of money and the days I felt good about myself. I respected all the times where I failed, or where I went back to procrastinating, or I went back to, bad habits, or staying up late, or eating too much sugar. I respect those moments because it showed me where I was at. And I need that information to know whether or not I'm making true progress. You see how that works? Those things will always be there. We are always works in progress. Just because you make a quantum leap once doesn't mean you're a Superman. And that's the next point. Quantum leaps are so difficult to make because it requires a change in perspective, in the sense that change is not a one-time thing. You don't get rid of your procrastination habit once and then it's never there again. You don't get rid of your addictions once and then they're never there again. Change is a process. Change is a process. Your vision is unfolding in real time, right? Through all these little moments. This video you're watching is part of your vision unfolding. You were meant to find this video and you were meant to watch it, right? You were meant to get in that argument. You were meant to, run out of gas. You were meant to, spend too much money. All those things were meant to happen because it's preparing you. But what changes is coming back to the drawing board or coming back to your desk the next morning and say, hey, I'm back. I'm showing up again. Here I am again. And that act of doing that every single day, that commitment, right, is you being in the best version of yourself, that stream of the best version of yourself. And you keep doing that with the highs and the lows, the pros and the cons. And what happens is over time, you don't see it coming. But over time, one day, boop, you get a phone call from the opportunity of your life, or you get a ton of money, or you get a beautiful idea, or one of your business ideas finally works because of all the failures you stood on but chose not to define you. You chose not to let those things define you. That is the right perspective. Change is a process. It's a process. I missed the gym the last 2 days. I went back to the gym today. That does not mean I'm a failure. That does not mean I'm a procrastinator. That does not mean I skip. I neglect my health. It doesn't mean that, because I went back. It's a process. And over time, I built a really good body. See how that works? I stayed committed. It's a lifestyle. I'm a professional. And as a professional, I know that I might not make it to the gym on some days, but best believe I always have it in my head to go back. It's a sign of emotional maturity, right? To not be complaining about things and to let that define you, right? Just because I don't get all the things, I have 25 million things on my to-do list, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Just on this little sticky note, there's 15, and I have several of these sticky notes, right? There's like 14 or 15 to-do list things on just this one sticky note, and I might get 5 done during the day. That does not mean I'm a procrastinator. I do not let that define me, because I know that this is a game of inches. It's like American football. You gain an inch, then you gain an inch, then you gain an inch, and then you gain an inch, and then you gain an inch, and then all of a sudden you get a huge play and you just run down and score a touchdown. But you don't ever get your lucky day if you do not show up. You have to show up every single day. That's why I started this with, or the second point, which is probably the biggest point actually, was commitment. If you don't show, it's impossible, and someone else said this, but it's impossible to miss your lucky day if you show up every day. And I'm going to end on that note. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.